Hey y'all, quick intro before we get to the real intro of the podcast. Had some technical difficulties with the recording on the video of the second part of this episode and attempted to salvage it in the edit. Proved to be impossible, so unfortunately there is no video for that second part. There is still audio, and hopefully you still enjoy the episode. We'll talk about it in a second, but obviously we've been very sporadic over the last few months. Big stuff going on in everyone's lives, and hopefully we can be more consistent going forward. That is the plan, at least. Goal is weekly episodes, more likely a little bit less than weekly episodes, but don't forget to drop a subscribe just so you can see when we're getting more stuff for you coming out. Thank you, and enjoy the episode. And the thing about Amelia Perez is it it's well made, it's well edited. I was going to try to list more good things about it, but that's not it.
Sweet Christmas.
Shout out to my birds.
Hello. This is Che.
This is Cory.
And this is the Next Time On Podcast, a podcast where two lifelong friends discuss all things amazing and all things fetid in popular culture. We're back again for, I think, the third time, and I'm going to do the spiel for the third time, which is...
That's fine.
We're trying to be consistent. Cory is a big-time studio exec now. I think he's, releasing Jurassic Park 6 in a couple of weeks.
It's funny, I'm actually pitching a story today, which is basically Jurassic Park.
See what I'm saying?
It's Jurassic Park, but meets the most dangerous game.
There we go. My life is not changed a whole lot except for, the world collapsing around us.
Yeah.
But we're trying to be consistent, and I would like to promise you guys weekly or semi-weekly episodes, but realistically, our actual careers and other things have to sort of take priority. But when we can drop stuff on you, we're going to. So keep subscribing, keep following the podcast, all that good stuff. And if you,
I will say this, I feel like the summertime's going to be a lot more consistent.
Yeah.
It's just very
The
it's
beginning
hard
to this year has
right
been
now, guys.
quite hectic for a number of reasons.
Oh yeah, I had to evacuate. That hasn't.
That was a big delay. We were going to be starting back again in the turn of the. I was gonna say turn of the year, but that's not how we say that. At the beginning of the year, but then of course LA was on fire. Luckily, Cory got out safe. Thankfully, nightmare is over for the most part.
Yeah, no damage over here, and it's finally raining, so that's nice.
That's good. But today, if you guys didn't read the title of your podcast, today we're talking about the Academy Awards, and we're going to be previewing the 97th Academy Awards, which are coming to you guys later in the year or next month. And we're also going to be building a new format that we're going to test out. Hopefully it works because we have some other ideas for this. We're going to be doing a Oscar movie draft where we build what we think is the perfect Oscar winner in 2025. A movie that could do the big five, which has only been done 3 times before. I should have brought this up. Silence of the Lambs, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and then a movie I can't remember. I will look that up in the break when we switch over. But first up, a couple points of business as usual. Don't forget, follow us at Next Time On Pod all over the place, especially over there on YouTube, where you can see all this stuff in video form. And we recorded an episode a while ago that I shelved so that we could drop when we were being a little bit more consistent. And that is the Madam Web watch-along bad movie sort of thing. It's going to be hitting YouTube if YouTube lets us, which I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
But go over there, drop a subscribe.
That's a doozy. It's it's been a while since we did that one, but
Well, I kind of want to. You know what we might do? I haven't talked to Cory about this off the podcast, so he's hearing this pitch right now. I'm not going to make you do this, don't worry. But maybe we'll record a little tack on to the beginning where I watch Kraven the Hunter, and then I talk to you about Kraven the Hunter for 5 or so minutes, because that is the official end of the Sony Spider-Verse.
That is the official end. It's
Madam
so funny
Web
that I think
shot
they
it in the
announced.
chest, and then Kraven the Hunter stomped on its head. Really, is what
I
happened.
can't remember if they announced that it was like the end of it the week before it came out or the weekend after it came out.
I think what happened is they probably waited for like the Thursday returns, which everyone knew was going to be bad because no one on planet Earth, besides I think maybe just the Sony executive who did like a weird interview where he was like, "I don't get it. Kraven's like a good movie. Why isn't anybody going to see it?" And we all went, "No, it's not. Why are you lying?"
No. See, I think that's the weird thing about them is like they made Spider-Verse, and Spider-Verse is good.
Well,
and
I just suspect that they didn't actually make it. I mean, they probably handed somebody money and were like, "We don't really this like," because I think what stuff like that is, they know they can't turn Spider-Verse into a huge multi-billion-dollar, MCU type thing. So they probably were more hands off with it.
Well, I meant more of like. Yeah, that's also true. I guess I mean more of like there's a good quality to the product, and
Sony
that they
is
should have
capable
been
of making
like
good movies.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing to me. It's like you guys, if you don't get in your own way, you could actually make pretty good product. I mean, look at Last of Us. So it's like just don't get in your own way. Let other people do them.
We recorded that episode about like 4 hours before the news was released officially. That
yes, I know
that Tom Holland could have been in any of those movies.
Yes, Tom Holland could have been in any movie.
Legally,
like,
there was nothing stopping Tom Holland from being in any of those movies ever, or any version of Spider-Man, and they just decided no. And I don't know why. I don't know why anybody would make that call.
I mean, I'm glad they made that call. Don't get me wrong, but it's also just really funny that they were just like, yeah. But I think like the moment they greenlit Morbius, somebody should have been like, hey, yo, maybe no. There should have been someone in the room being like, hey, I read comic books. No one gives two flying fucks about Morbius. Well, no one gives two flying fucks about Kraven the Hunter.
Yeah.
People, no one even knows who the fuck Madam Web is.
Yeah.
No one knows who Madam. At least Morbius was in the goddamn cartoon way back when, but no one knows who the fuck Madam Web is besides the old lady.
Morbius was confounding because, like, obviously the character and the decision to make a solo Morbius movie is patently insane. We know that.
Yes.
But Cory and I have a running thing in our chats or texts when we talk to each other, which is like, what dirt does Jared Leto have on, I guess, everyone in the industry? I don't know. Please,
I don't get
write
it.
in if you like this guy. I swear to God, I need to know who is like, I like Jared Leto. I mean, that's the thing is, Kraven the Hunter and Madam Web are at least like starring, bona fide, likable, like A-list celebrities. Sydney Sweeney and Dakota Johnson, when that movie came out, or like, especially Sydney Sweeney, it's like a big deal. Aaron Taylor Johnson, we still don't understand why he isn't like one of the 5 biggest actors on planet Earth. I think he's so charismatic, and anytime he's in like an even slightly good movie, he's amazing.
Yeah, like I think whoever Jared Leto, I think Jared Leto's just like taking away Aaron. I don't know the correlation, but I feel like maybe somehow Jared Leto's just taking away Aaron Taylor Johnson's career. There's no proof there.
To be honest, I'd buy it. I still to this day.
There's no proof.
The funniest thing that's ever happened in a movie theater for me is the post-credit scene of Morbius.
I think it's Spider-Man or something. I don't know.
It's so good, man. But let's do the hardest pivot of all time from talking about the death of the Sony Spider-Verse to the coming awards for the best movie of the year. Award season is in full swing. The PGAs, the DGAs, all the big stuff has already happened.
I think the only thing left over now is like the BAFTAs.
BAFTAs is this Sunday at time of recording, and the SAG Awards, which are the week after.
I'm not sure exactly. I don't really keep track of SAG, or no, I don't really know how much of a SAG is like indicative on the voters either.
Well, SAG is the biggest determiner, or it's not determiner, but it's the best indicator because they represent the highest population of the Academy voters. Like most Academy voters are actors and also in SAG, so that's why that usually is important in that it is the best indicator of what's coming. So it's February 23rd, which is next week, and that's the last big one before the Oscars, which is March 2nd. Earlier this year than it was the year before, but obviously we're still later than we've been in years past.
Yeah.
But we're just gonna talk about some of these nominations. I mean, obviously we are late to the conversation on a number of things. I don't think either of us have any interesting opinions on the Carla Gascon controversy, so we're not gonna be talking about it because
she's racist. That's not okay.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
shocking.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, just I had to be like, hey, listen. My only thoughts is I just don't think she's a good person.
Yeah, I think the thing
I-
that's most annoying about it to me is I was so fascinated to see. Most annoying, obviously, when there's racist people in the world, that's very depressing. But to be honest, she's like pretty low down on my list of racist people right now to be concerned about.
That's also true.
But I was fascinated to see because I think Amelia Perez as a film, taking out the controversy, which I genuinely don't really care that much about, as a film is like bad. Like not just not good, not just not deserving of being the highest number of nominations for a foreign film ever, as well as being the most nominated film at this year's Oscars with 13 nominations, including in Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, and Best Adapted Screenplay. They're just big all across the board. They love this movie. I don't know any human being. I've never met one. I've never seen one talk on the internet that thinks this movie isn't terrible. So that's not true. My mom said she didn't think it was terrible, and I said, "Did you like it?" And she goes, "It was interesting," which is not.
That's not saying it's good though.
Yeah, to be honest, I guess I agree that Amelia Perez is interesting. But Corey, you have not seen Amelia Perez to date, yes?
No, I have enough people in my life.
No, there's no reason for you to watch
I respect. This is even before it was nominated for the Oscars. Where they were like, so I remember I was going to go see it in theaters before you guys even saw it. I just kind of missed the showing.
Yeah.
And I think
This
it was
like
you.
one of the most anticipated movies of the year. It made
Yeah.
big numbers at the festival circuit, which I'm fascinated by. But sorry, go ahead.
It was you, Danny, and then I think a couple people in my class. Well, it was you and Danny both being like, "You're not gonna like this," and I'm like, "Okay, I trust you guys." I thought it was gonna be like a fun, campy movie, but it's not apparently. And then I like some of my classmates, and I know people from in the queer community, trans community. They fucking hate it. I have some classmates.
It's managed
I have
to
some
anger
classmates.
trans people and Mexicans. How'd they do
Yes, I was gonna say that. I have some classmates from Mexico, and they are also like, "This was abysmal and offensive," and I'm like, "Okay," and that's all I got to know. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to know.
The thing that's fascinating about this movie in a number of ways is one, it's weird that it got made. Two, I don't know if a lot of people realize this or if this is like common knowledge. This is not the Mexican submission for best.
No, because
Best Picture.
he's French.
This is the French submission for Best Picture, which is also interesting because the German submission for this year also not set in German, not spoken German. That is The Seed of the Sacred Fig, which is an Iranian film.
I mean, that
Much
makes
better
sense
movie
though, because
by tenfold.
But
it's just
there's
interesting
actually a story behind that one though, which is
yes, it's basically like made in secret. I do recommend people see that movie. I think the movie's really interesting. I have.
Is it out? Is it in some type of streaming now? Because I've been meaning to see it, but I haven't.
Don't remember. I saw that in theaters. Luckily, I got the chance to see
I mean, I got to go see I still have to see the Brutalist before the awards officially come out. And,
fully recommend to people who have the ability, go see it on film. I saw it in 70 millimeters, and it's breathtakingly beautiful. But we'll talk about all those movies in a second. I just wanted to go over the weird fallout for this movie because it is interesting to see a movie that probably Corey and I were talking about this before. 13 nominations on the night, and I think there's a real chance it gets 0 wins, which I just don't think will have ever happened before. Dune was one that got a lot of nominations and then didn't win any of the above the line, but did pretty big numbers in the technical categories. I actually think there's a chance that Amelia Perez gets like snubbed across the board because of the negative feelings of this film. Do you foresee any surprises in Amelia Perez's direction on the night?
So okay, like my thing about Amelia Perez is the votes were already in. I think though, like before this really came out, I think the votes might have been in. I'm not sure already, but
I think they weren't. I know the
But I think ultimately though,
you keep talking. Let me look up the.
But ultimately though, I don't think necessarily even without that, I don't think it really was going to win. I think it's definitely one of those things where some of the Academy voters heard about the premise and they just voted for it without actually even watching it.
I guess, and the thing is, this guy I like. So this movie is directed by, I'm gonna butcher his name. My apologies.
I do recommend everybody seeing the Mexican parody about it. I can't remember the name of it right now, but a trans director in Mexico did a parody of it, and they just Google translated French. And I highly recommend. I watched like 20 minutes of it. Fucking hilarious.
Well, it's just weird because it's not. I don't understand why this movie just isn't set in France.
Yeah. I don't know. I felt like someone read a freaking article, be like, this would be funny. It's like, cartel people are horrible murderers, and it's not really funny.
Well, Jacques Audiard, who is the director of this film, I really enjoy his films, and I thought he was on before this movie. I thought he was on like a good run. So people who aren't familiar with his work before this, his last film 3 years ago, Paris 13th District, which I highly recommend. The movie is quite good. The Sisters Brothers, Deepon, and Rust and Bone are his runs into this. All these movies I think are excellent. And the thing about Emilia Perez is it like it's well made, it's well edited. I was gonna try to list more good things about it, but there's no more. It's not well written, and it's hard to say if it's well acted or not because the characters are so ridiculous. But let's stop talking about this fucking movie. Listen, you were so.
I saw the clip about Zoe Saldana singing about the sex change operation. I was like, whoa,
one of the toughest songs in film history, and I sat through almost all of Wicked this year.
Don't, Che, come on, man. I liked Wicked. Just want to put that out there, just for the viewers.
50% of this podcast.
I know.
But to your point about Emilia Perez and what Danny said to you is like, there was never any world I was gonna like Wicked. And my opinion on Wicked should not take away from anybody's enjoyment of it. It shouldn't even. If you were thinking about seeing Wicked and you hear me say it's not good, don't worry about that. Don't take that into consideration. I do not like modern musicals, and I haven't liked a modern musical for a very long time. I will say this: I liked Wicked way more than Emilia Perez. Emilia Perez may be like physically angry at points. Let's talk about these fucking nominations.
Yes.
So we'll just go down. Let's go down. Let's talk about some interesting ones. So obviously, Best Picture. We'll run this one down really quick. We have Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. A very interesting collection of nominations.
It is, in a way that I kind of do enjoy kind of how diverse, like, I mean, besides the movie we just talked about, like, the movies seem to be a pretty, like, wide range. And I mean,
well, even including Emilia Perez, it's a very wide range of types of movies.
Exactly.
Which is good.
And I think
that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. I think that's a really good thing. And I think the stigma surrounding a lot of, I mean, I'm happy to see, like, I mean, the movies have been different last couple of years, but I mean, seeing movies like Dune, which, I mean, we still have had, like, more films in this genre kind of in recent years. I mean, Top Gun, whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, that was an insane nomination, but I was just saying that I'm happy that, like, this, like, that's, like, a possibility now, where, like, Dune is, like, the best version of that type of film. And it getting nominated, and also The Substance for being a horror film and also being nominated for Best Picture. It's also a freaking Tubi movie.
Well, it was distributed by Tubi because when Neon went to shop it, or whatever the original production company went to shop it. Sorry, not Tubi. Mubi. Tubi is very
Mubi. Sorry.
No, we should correct that before we get too far down the rabbit hole. Everyone was like, "No, we're actually good on all that." It is a sorry, working title films, not Neon. It just feels like a Neon movie. I think that's why it stuck in my head. When they went to shop it, nope, basically these companies were not interested in it. I think it's fascinating. I think this is like a movie. Again, I didn't really like The Substance. It's not for me. But I think it's really interesting that movies like that can be, like you were saying, can be nominated. Since the expansion to 10 Best Picture nominations post the fallout from The Dark Knight and how that missed nominations, I think there's been a chance to celebrate interesting movies like The Substance, or like Dune Part 2, or like Wicked, which is like a movie that is probably a lot of people's favorite movie this year. Spoilers, it's not going to win. Apologies to those people. There's no chance Wicked wins Best Picture, but it's a good thing that we can, in 50 years,
it's a good thing,
it'll be recognized.
And, like, I mean, as a person who, like, I mean, I didn't know anything about Wicked. When I saw the first trailer, I'm like, oh, this is going to be horrible. And then I'm like, oh, I mean, if you told me from that first trailer it's going to be nominated for an Oscar, I would have called you a liar.
Interesting. I was pretty confident just because of what's happening.
I thought you don't watch trailers.
I don't think trailers matter.
The trailers the trailers look bad though.
Oh yeah,
they looked bad.
Wicked is very much like the Barbie of this year though. I think, right? Is that fair?
I think it's definitely in the same type of film. Yeah,
Barbie's
I'd say the same. Yeah.
Than Wicked, but I do think it's like the same.
Yeah, they're both musicals. Yeah, it's the same kind of vibe.
So it looks like Anora is eking out to a slight lead. But for the first time in a few years, which is exciting, I think we don't have a definite winner here. I think there are two big frontrunners. It's basically Honora and The Brutalist seem like the most likely winners on the night. I think there is a chance that, depending on when the voting came in, we see Emilia Perez win. I don't think that is the case though, because the nature of the Oscar voting is a lot of this is really determined by ranked choice voting. And I think even before the controversy and the fallout from this movie, I don't think Emilia Perez is getting a lot of number one, or maybe that's not true. It's probably getting some number one rankings, but it's probably getting a lot of last place rankings and it's not getting a lot of like middle of the road. What you want is a movie that is crowd pleasing, and that's why I was talking to Cory about this before. I fear a win for A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan biopic, which I directed by James Mangold, which was exceedingly average. But it's got real, like, Timothée Chalamet learned how to play piano. People like Bob Dylan music. It's not as bad as Bohemian Rhapsody, so it actually has like critical acclaim. It's a big.
You know what? I just think it's. I just love it when like this actor learned to play piano. It's like, I mean, like that's fine, okay.
Yeah, I mean, what else are they gonna do? I mean,
did he learn how to play piano? Or did he learn how to play those specific songs on piano?
Or sorry, I guess not piano. What does Bob Dylan play? Guitar.
I think he.
I think he learns to play. He plays last time in the movie. I basically.
I gotta watch the movie. I'm not a Bob Dylan guy, top of my head.
Are you a James Mangold guy?
I like James Mangold.
Yeah, I think James Mangold makes real.
I mean, hold on. Let me just make sure. Like, I think I am.
Ford versus Ferrari.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's my problem with him. He's been a bit back and forth on me. Logan was good. I did not like Indiana Jones.
I don't know. I don't know if we can blame him for Indiana Jones now.
I don't think
I also thought was like a fine movie.
I think some of the pacing issues were for me, honestly. And none of the action really felt like the car chase scenes, none of it really like hit. And I think that was my issue with it. And I felt like it wasn't even about him being old. It just none of the action scenes or like the action set pieces felt like they were really like good. But if you want a good Indiana Jones story, go play the video game. That's actually like the most enjoyable Indiana Jones experience I think I've had since the originals.
Yeah.
I think it's better than Temple of Doom either also.
If you had to pick, if you were just given the controls and they were like, Cory, pick the winners on the night, what's your best picture pick? Not your prediction.
Okay.
My
prediction.
What would you like to win from those 10 movies?
Looking at these movies right now, I think, perfect world for me, earnestly, Dune Part 2.
I think that's the answer for a lot of people, and that's why I think it's interesting that movie probably has like no chance of winning.
But I like that it's in the conversation.
I think if that movie came out, and there's no way they could have known that this year would be really so light on top level contenders because of the strikes and a number of things that got pushed to 2025 and a lot of different reasons that this is like a more we don't have any like a huge front runner because there's not a big Oppenheimer type movie to dominate the award season.
I mean, a lot of the year though, I was just like, what movies are coming out? Like, there was a lot of the film I'm like, I want to go to the movie theater, and there just really wasn't much there.
I think there's a chance we're having the opposite conversation this time next year about the 2026 Oscars, which is like there's like 4 amazing movies that came out, and one of they all have a chance of winning because they're all so good, as opposed to this year, which is like there's a bunch of movies that could win because they're all pretty good and there's no great movie. If I was picking of this 10, Dune Part 2 would be the most fun to win, but I actually think the best movie on this list is Conclave, which is a movie we haven't talked about on this podcast, or I actually don't even know if we've talked about it at all. Have you seen Conclave?
We haven't. I have, and I really like Conclave.
I think Conclave is a ton of fun and feels kind of like an Oscar movie, which is maybe not like a...
I feel like I've said this pitch already to people, and I've got multiple people to watch it. It's basically Mean Girls with Cardinals.
It's exactly what it is. And there's even a guy who's vaping the whole movie, which is the best.
It's like it should not be as much fun as it is, but I am not mad if Conclave wins. I wouldn't be mad at all if Honora wins because I feel like Honora is so like new this generation type movie. It's like very just fun, aesthetically pleasing, but also like has a deeper story there. So I wouldn't be mad at Honora winning either.
Honora feels like the most.
I will be happy.
The winners in recent history.
Yes, also. I would be very happy with Nora or Conclave because I think I like those two directions. But long shot Dune, longer shot Substance. But I think
I don't see
to
Substance
me,
pulling that one out. I think there's gonna be two
Yeah,
people who
but-
like actually literally didn't watch it. Just were just like, I'm not watching that movie. I don't care.
it's
People who have votes who were like, fuck that.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't like body horror, and I had to walk around sometimes during that movie because I'm like also a PGA voter now because I'm that person now, I guess. And I was just like, I had to pause the movie and walk around at certain points. I'm not a body horror people.
No,
like that's my one genre. I like horror. I don't like body horror. But if I had another movie to put on the list, I would put Nosferatu on this list.
Nosferatu slams. I really enjoyed that movie. I will say my thing about The Substance is that the body horror stuff obviously I'm not a fan of. I actually was, maybe because people built it up so much, I heard how disgusting it was before I watched it, and I was not as bothered by the body horror or like as horrified by the movie. The end is just like real. It just like I was just like, why are we doing this? But whatever.
See,
the thing
I
about that
think
movie
that's
that I don't
funny
like
because
is
it got
it's
to
so
the end.
obvious.
It got to the end. I'm like, oh, I'm enjoying this now.
It's exactly how I felt about like Men, a movie that I did love, where I was like, Men is incredible, and the end's happening, and I'm like, why, man? Why make me watch this?
I think if as soon as they went full practical, the Thing look, and I'm like, okay, now I'm fine with this.
Yeah, fair enough.
Dennis Quaid's doing the most insane performance I think I've ever seen in my life.
Well, it's funny because Dennis Quaid playing like a real piece of shit as like a spoof, but the joke is that Dennis Quaid is a piece of shit. This is the same year that he
Hey.
made like a weird Reagan biopic.
Oh,
that
damn
was
it, you
only
took my
watched
joke.
by people in red states. It's like,
You know,
and
it apparently supposed to be Ray Liotta. It was going to be his last role apparently.
in The
But,
Substance or as
yeah.
Oh, I thought
Substance,
you meant
he was
as
supposed- yeah.
Reagan. I was like, Ray Liotta as
I-
Reagan is lit.
I would have seen Reagan.
I'd have been in theaters opening night for Ray Liotta as Reagan. Like, come on. All right, we're as always we're a little slow. Let's blaze through the rest of these really quick.
Please.
The big ones. The director. Any opinions on the director? I mean, the director category. I've been a bit bummed out with in recent history. I think that's a catastrophe. Wow. Not the right word. It's a side effect of the switch to the 10 Best Picture nominations. Is that I don't think there's been a movie since that switch that hasn't been nominated for both director and Best Picture. When before that, you would get movies that would be Best Director but not Best Picture, and vice versa.
I mean, from what I've seen from this list, I haven't seen A Complete Unknown, The Brutalist, or
Genuinely don't understand how this movie's in the top 5. I'm shocked.
or Emilia Paris. But I think we talked about this offline. I think I was saying, yeah, Denny not getting nominated. If we're just going from Best Picture list to this list,
Which I think is
was
the only ones that we're ever going to see, as I said.
yeah, but I think like those two films, Conclave and Dune, not being there, and like from what I've heard about the other 3 films, I mean, like from what you told me, I'm assuming Brutalist should be there.
I think
But,
Brutalist wins Best Director and Nora wins Best Picture on the night would be my prediction at this time of recording, because the thing about The Brutalist that I think has been really, really celebrated is that Brady Corbett made that movie for $10 million, which if you guys have seen it, I don't know if you've heard that number, will probably shock you. That movie looks incredible. It actually, listen, no, I'm not comparing the two films, and this is not a negative on Oppenheimer. I think there's a lot of people who will watch Brutalist and watch Oppenheimer and be like, oh, those two movies probably cost about the same amount of money, minus the cast.
Yeah.
But he made it for like pennies on the dollar. Another thing that Sean Baker's been talking about a lot on his press tour for Anora is like, we don't like, the film industry is in this crisis mode right now, and it's shifting over because there's been like, we're overspending on these films that tank in the box office, and then we are like, I say we, like I have anything to do with this, but being like,
I'm sorry.
but I think there's been a shift to try to figure out how you can make movies that will connect with people for less money. And The Brutalist and Anora proved that's possible.
It is possible. But at
to
the end
your
of the day,
point-
it's always story.
Yes, yeah. To your point, The Complete Unknown, Emilia Perez, and The Substance, I'm obviously not a big fan of. I think it's like a dereliction of duty that Ramel Ross for Nickel Boys is not in here. I think that's the best directed movie of the year. People who haven't seen that movie, it's like I think a masterpiece of directing that is actually, and shout out to Colson Whitehead, like multiple time Pulitzer Prize winner, more successful than I'll ever be. I think it's being held back by its source material, which I don't think is that good. I just don't think the Nickel Boys book is that interesting. We'll keep
telling
going.
Colson.
Anything interesting to say about Best Actor? Otherwise, we can just blaze right over that because I do think it's probably
Nothing super. No, nothing really to me.
because apparently this award is who can play the most recognizable version of a real life person and not who is the best actor, which makes me so mad.
I think every year we say for this podcast there should be two different.
I think combined actor and actress and just say
Yeah.
real person, fake person.
Yes. I mean, we do best adapted screenplay and best original screenplay.
Yeah.
Why can't we do the same thing? Because
think that makes way more
technically,
sense.
you're adapting a person.
Right. A person who's fucking alive right now, by the way. Like Bob
Very
Dylan's not
alive.
even
Yes.
dead.
Don't worry. I mean, we're getting the Bruce Springsteen movie, so I'm sure the Bear guy is going to be nominated around this time next year.
Are we wrong, Corey? Is something wrong with our brain that we don't love the music biopic the way that it seems to like connect with all these people?
I don't think so. I just think that like those movies really appeal to a certain part of American culture that we're just not connecting with ever.
I like Bob Dylan's music just fine. But I also feel.
But I don't think we don't like really. Okay, first we're not old enough to actually like give that much of a shit about Bob Dylan, and we like Timothy, but we don't love him enough to go see the movie like and be clamoring over it.
I
So
think his
it's, like,
performance in Dune is more interesting than his performance in Complete Unknown. I say that right here on the podcast.
I mean, Dune Part 2, like, as soon as he starts doing that speech, like, when he convinces everybody, I was like, oh, damn, this boy can act.
He also is doing like it's nobody is going to give that movie the quote unquote cinema respect because it's a sci-fi blockbuster. But that character is to be honest stupid. It's like a dumb idea for a character that he is pulling off really well. And that last scene where he's conflicted about this decision he has to make and he looks back at Zendaya is like it's great performance. Either way, quickly we'll talk about the best actress category because I think this one's been like thrown like really ended because I think obviously Gascon was very much the favorite, and now we have I'll go over the nominations really quick. Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, Mickey Madsen for Nora, Demi Moore for The Substance, and Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here, a movie that I thought was incredible. People who haven't seen that movie, highly recommend. And they're going hard on their campaigns from what I saw because I think they have smelt blood and are pretty sure they can win at least Best International and maybe clean up in some other places with the Amelia Perez falling out. Who do you think, now that it seems like, I think even if she did win the vote, they wouldn't let her win the award. They do some cooking of the books. Who do you think wins this now that Gascon's probably out?
I think Madison. I think Mikey.
I think you're right. It is Mickey, isn't it? I keep saying Mickey.
It's Mike. I think it's Mikey.
Yeah.
I don't think, and I mean, I think the secondary person I see up there that I really like is Demi. I mean, I haven't seen I'm Still Here.
Am I?
You are.
What am I going to say, Corey?
I know, like, am I wrong about The Substance or something like that?
I know I'm wrong about The Substance. Everyone says it's an incredible movie. I thought it was like a C- movie at best. But that's my question. Am I stupid to think that she's not the lead of that movie? They were never nominating Demi Moore.
I think
but she's not the lead.
I think she's the lead.
Okay.
I think she's the lead.
I think Margot Qualley. I didn't have the stopwatch out, but I'm pretty sure Margot Qualley has way more screen time than she does in that movie. And
I think, but I don't
listen.
But
I like Demi Moore. I think Margot
Qualley
Qualley is actually better in The Substance than Demi Moore is.
Oh, I disagree with you on that one. But okay, that's fine. But
Margot Qualley is doing like weird shit in that movie that I actually found kind of really interesting.
It's very weird.
I closed my eyes during all the close-ups of her butt, though, to be respectful. I did this.
I was like, what? At certain points, I'm like, what the fuck am I watching?
Well, that's the thing is, maybe we should have a Substance podcast one day. But I think the thing
One
that bothers
day.
me about that movie is that it is so on the nose. It's like, here's this movie about objectification of women.
I think we need
don't
to
you
bring
like when I
on-
zoom in on the tits? And I'm like, no, I don't like this actually.
I think, out of respect for everybody listening to our podcast, we need to bring a woman on for that episode. Though we need to balance that shit out.
Corey, it's 2025. We don't need to listen to women anymore. What are you talking about?
Oh my god, you cannot say that they can clip audio. You know that, right?
They can't come for me. Let's, like I said, we're over as already. So I'm just looking to see if there's any other interesting nominations we can talk about before we.
Yeah,
switch
please.
over. I think the international feature film category I'm always endlessly fascinated with because it is like this. It's like a combination of two different things that doesn't happen in any other awards. All these countries have to choose their best movie. And then what's always funny to me is when the countries fuck up. Like this year, not by accident. They didn't realize this because obviously before it all went to shit, it was going really well for them. But France clearly fucked up. France had a lot of incredible movies this year that they could have nominated, movies that I thought were already way better than Amelia Perez, but probably would have done way better among voters. I think there is, and could have highlighted some really interesting stuff. When it hits your TV screens at some point, I don't know if there's an official who's been picked up for stage distribution. Everybody should be on the lookout for this movie called The Kingdom that came out last year, French movie. One of my favorite movies of the year. Really cool take on a like crime family movie, and another film from France, Ghost Trail, which would have been really timely and I think could have done big numbers. But France picked Amelia Perez, a movie set in Mexico, not in French, not starring any French people, and was like, that's the best French movie of the year. And then it's really interesting. So quickly go over these international nominations. We have an Amelia Perez, Flo. Did you see Flo from Latvia?
I did see Flo, and I thought Flo was I maybe want to. I talk on this. I want to talk about the animation between the two winners.
Yeah, we'll go over that after this. Yeah. And then we'll head to a break. The Girl with the Needle from Denmark, which is a fascinatingly bleak film that I enjoyed, but is the kind of movie that I think many people will be. It's just really depressing. It's a movie about. It's a true story about apparently a very famous case that I know about in Denmark about a woman charged for basically serial abortion and baby murder in turn of the century Denmark, and that is the happy-go-lucky film that Denmark decided to submit this year for the Oscars. I'm Still Here, the Brazilian film that I actually think is probably favorited to win right now, and then Seed of a Sacred Film from Germany. A very interesting collection of movies. Five very different films, including a silent animated movie, which is I guess it's obviously eligible because it's sitting here in my nominations. I thought there was a rule that it had to have 51% dialogue in not English. So if it doesn't have any dialogue, how's that work?
I don't know.
I guess if it's a foreign production with no dialogue, they just count it. So I guess fair enough.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, like I guess so. I guess that makes sense to me. But I don't exactly know. But I mean, I haven't seen a lot of those films. I've only seen Flo out of those films, and I do try to plan to get in the rest of them.
I recommend all of them because I do think.
Got it, Amelia Perez.
Minus the Billy French, which we've been pretty clear on here. I think they're all really interesting in different ways. I really want you to. I mean, I just want you to see Seed of a Sacred Fig because I want to talk to you about the end of that fucking movie. But speaking of Flo, Corey, what do you think of this? The animated features. You want to go over the nominations there?
Sure. So the animated features are Flo, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Wallace and Gromit, and The Wild Robot. So I think
I like Wallace and Gromit. That's out of nowhere. I'm sorry. That movie was so goofy.
I mean, I love Wallace and Gromit too, but it's also like I think maybe people were like, oh, you know what? Good for Wallace and Gromit. It's been like years since they've done anything. So, yeah. And I mean, like I'm never gonna be mad about stop motion still getting some love, but also Memoir of a Snail is also stop motion, which is also great. Yeah. And I like this year of animation because each of these animated movies like do kind of stand out in their own style. Yeah. I hope Inside Out 2 loses because I think that's like the biggest.
I don't foresee that.
That's the biggest boring one. But I think Flo, which is so good, and Inside Out, and The Wild Robot are basically two films about very similar themes. But it's interesting to see a film that like costs so much more money than the other film, but both of them be really fucking good. Yeah. That I don't exactly know which one is gonna win. I think Flo, with its non-dialogue and grid story, I think Flo was the most tension I felt in a film in a long time. I was just nervous the entire time. But The Wild Robot made me fucking cry. Yeah. So it's just these two things. And also, I mean, The Wild Robot's score is incredible. I think it did get nominated. But I looked it up. I think I think 95% of the film is score.
Chris Bowers was nominated for the Wild Robot score this year.
Which is an amazing score, amazing soundtrack. But it's like one of those things I would not be mad with either of them winning, but I would love to see the film that costs like a fraction of the budget of the other one winning, because I thought that team who did Flo did such a great job within their limitations.
I think that's going to be a theme of this year's Oscars with likely winners like Honora and the Brutalist, like I said, two very cheap movies, like you said, these animated movies. 3 incredibly expensive ones. I actually don't know what Wallace and Gromit came in at, but I wouldn't be shocked if that one was also very expensive.
Yeah,
Up against
I think Memoir of a Snail was pretty cheap though. I think that was
Yeah, sorry, I
cheaper.
was I meant Inside Out to
Oh, yeah.
Wild Robot
And
and Wallace and Gromit probably incredibly expensive. And then you have Memoirs of a Snail and Flow, which made for relatively pennies on the dollar. I mean, we saw a similar sort of battle last year with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and The Boy and the Heron, which were the two favorites, and you had this like huge crowd-pleasing blockbuster.
Which one won?
Boy and the Heron.
Yeah, I mean that was a good one, so it's like not really.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that what we talked about at the time was like probably it was Across the Spider-Verse was less likely to win just because we know there's another one coming, and the first
And
one
also
won.
the first one won. Yeah, and also it's gonna be it's Miyazaki's, and actually
Sorry, the first one didn't win.
it didn't win.
It was not even nominated.
What did well? You tripping? I
Oh,
thought
no,
it
no,
was.
shit.
I thought
It was
no.
all the way back in 2018. I was looking at like
Yeah.
the 2020s.
Oh no,
yeah,
Che,
yeah,
it's been a while.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I was like I like.
I thought it
pretty
did win
fucking
too, and I was looking at the nominations. I was bugging.
But yeah, I mean, I kind of hope Flo comes through and win. I mean, I know there's going to be another Wild Robot, but it would be nice to see.
Oh, I didn't know that was gonna be
more. Yeah, I think there's like going to be like 2 more. It did really well, like the Wild Robot did, and it's deserved. I'm surprised.
I've had
it
a
did
number
so
of people
well,
say
but
that their favorite movie they saw this year was The Wild Robot. A number of my friends have said that.
it was. I mean, it was incredible.
I
think I'm not. I would not be mad. I think I recommend highly Flo and Wild Robot if you guys get a chance to do it. Yeah. Don't be like, it's not gonna be easy. It's not like a really fun chill watch though. I thought it was gonna be that, but like they're both kind of like, hey, global warming fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And it's happening.
Yeah.
And it's happening.
Well, don't tell
But yeah.
our government that, I guess.
Suck it, Trump.
I don't think there's any other ones here worth going over of a super interest. Maybe we'll do a review post the Oscars of the awards or check back in before.
I think that'd be good.
I mean, like a
at
race to
least
write a bunch of different things, but we'll see if
Yeah.
those actually.
I think maybe a good recap would be nice to at least be like, here's some films that maybe you should still watch. Or like maybe like the argument we would make for this one to have won.
Well, the thing I wanted
something.
to do, because I was actually pretty disappointed by this nomination list overall, because I do think there was a lot of really interesting movies this year that just weren't. I mean, they're not big movies, not really celebrated. Was just to do our own Oscar nominations, our own Oscars for this year. Maybe we'll do that post the awards. But I especially think we could have done, as always, could have done a lot better with the actress nominations, because I think there was a lot of really great performances by women this year, and many of them not celebrated.
And I get it would takes two. I guess I get it like during the awards. I think it would take so long, but it is a shame that like the movies are 10 and these other categories are just 5.
Yeah.
Especially for like these big categories.
Well,
like
like
the
I said,
above-
it's nerds' fault. If we didn't cry so much about the Dark Knight, we wouldn't be here today. I actually that is probably the biggest thing that has happened to the Oscars in the last 30 years. Is the
It's not our fault.
I agree. I also, like we said, I think it's good that something like Dune Part 2 can be nominated. It will never win. A movie like that will probably never win Best Picture. Well, Oppenheimer is like kind of close, but even that is.
It's still pretty. It's still the biopic.
Yeah, God, it's true, and he did win. So
We did win, and we're happy about that win. Though.
we are. I just think,
I know. I agree. I think there should be. I think it should be 2 different things.
When Timothée Chalamet, who I think is a great actor, collects his award on the 2nd, I will not be angry, but I will be disappointed because I just think Adrian Brody's performance is more interesting. Coleman Domingo's performance is more interesting. I love Ray Fiennes' performance in Conclave, and I think, despite the fact that it is obviously also a real person, I actually think I would take Sebastian Stan The Apprentice, a movie that I did not expect to like at all, and it's honestly I have not gone back to watch it since it came out.
I mean, it wasn't really nominated for anything else, so it's like.
I think he's incredible. I also think part of the nomination is obviously just like a middle finger to Trump, which.
Yeah.
I'm
Also,
never
what an interesting career for Sebastian. He's just been like, he's getting nominated for Oscars, still can have his Marvel fun. Good for him.
Did you, not to mention a very much we're in the same category as them podcast, the Off Menu podcast. Did you listen to his episode of the Off Menu podcast?
No, I did not.
He is he does not have the energy I was expecting for a guy who has been so weird on screen and made so many interesting choices
Is he like a quiet guy or something?
Yeah, he was like, and
I-
maybe it was like
that
at 8 a.m. in the
That
morning.
doesn't
It's like-
surprise me.
he was real subdued and like chill. I mean, it was fun. I'm not saying he was like boring or anything, but I was not expecting the energy from a guy who did this incredibly larger than life weird performance in The Apprentice, and also this year a really interesting movie that I highly recommend people go see or watch, because you can watch it at home now. A Different Man. These two wildly different, wildly interesting performances. He was also in that fucking weird ass sort of horror movie Fresh from a few years ago. He's like he struck me as like a weird dude, and then he's on this podcast being mad normal. I don't know.
It's
Very
like whenever
interesting
like he was on a lot of the Marvel circus. He's always kind of like, yeah, okay, and he's like very just like kind of like, I'm just here to because I don't get fined kind of energy with it. He's like, part of my contract, I'm doing this shit, but like
I always write those off though, because I feel like the Marvel, especially when you're doing like Marvel press or when Scarlett Johansson goes on the Jurassic World tour in a few months, I just see people are like
I forgot they were making a Jurassic World movie, and it was like happened. I was at a place where they kind of were muting the commercials, and I was like, wait, what the fuck's happening right now? And it's just like what's happening here with everybody in this cast? Like, why are we should have taken a break, right?
I think, well, listen, I like the cast a lot, and we are big Gareth Edwards fans on this podcast. We ride or die for him. We're actually the only two people that like the creator. Did you know that, Corey?
I didn't say I liked the creator. I was like, don't.
I didn't really like the creator either, but I liked that it existed. I think
I like that it's cool that an original IP was made to do well, and it looks amazing. But the story is bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad. The story's so bad. It's like, it's not hard. It's like he made the most boring version of that movie, I think, and that's what the problem with it. The problem to me was,
well,
of course, it was going to be his kid.
Hopefully, it's not the same when Jurassic World Rebirth. Although I don't really know. I don't know. We're not talking about Jurassic World anymore. We're going to go to a break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to build the perfect Oscar movie.
Only just met. We're going to go look at a flat.
Problem?
We don't know a thing about each other. I don't know where we're meeting. I don't even know your name.
I know you're an army doctor and you've been invalided home from Afghanistan. I know you've got a brother who's worried about you, but you won't go to him for help because you don't approve of him, possibly because he's an alcoholic, more likely because he recently walked out on his wife, and I know that your therapist thinks you're limp psychosomatic quite correctly, I'm afraid. It's enough to be going on with, don't you think? The name's Sherlock Holmes and the address is 221B Baker Street. Afternoon.
He's always like that.
And we're back.
I think that's cheating.
What do you mean it's cheating?
We're in a whole
As far as the people is concerned, it's going to be, I don't know, a couple seconds.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, if you're watching the video, we both have changed our clothing for some reason, apparently.
Well, it's a different day.
Yeah,
We're
it's a
recording the
different day.
second part of the
I
podcast
watched
on a different
4
day.
movies yesterday.
Which 4
Just,
movies?
just all over the place with film quality too. I watched Love Hurts, which was horrible.
I'm not even sure I know
that's
what Love
that's the
Hurts
Ki
is.
Han movie.
Oh yeah, that looked.
It was bad. It was a
yeah,
bad film.
great.
It was really wild to be like, this guy's love interest in this movie is Ariana DeBose.
I've said on this podcast already,
That-
I'm not
who-
a fan.
who-
I don't think she's good in like anything.
I think she's a bad agent. But also, Che, think about it this
Oh
way.
no, I didn't realize they were
He's
supposed to
in
be
his-
love interest in that movie. It's
I
crazy.
know. I didn't either. I think everyone in the audience were like, what?
He's like
Then I saw
20
Captain
years older
America.
than her, right?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Okay.
Saw Captain America. I enjoyed that. Then I never saw 13 going on 30. You know, I had to do the Valentine's Day movie thing.
Okay.
And then I was like, I couldn't sleep. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll watch The Gorge.
Oh, I'm about to watch that after this.
What a weird movie.
So Corey and I were talking about it. I assume it's not good, but don't tell me because I want to try to go. I'm just assuming it's bad because neither of us had heard about this movie at all. This movie starring Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy. I just heard about it like it was just on Apple TV like the beginning of this week. It's the first time I'd heard about this movie. Very weird.
It's very weird. Yeah, no, I don't really have much. It was just a weird fucking movie. It was just weird. I think like I don't want to say everyone should watch it because I don't know if it was good or not. But just
I'm most surprised by the Love Hurts decision. I'm not sure why you went to go see that.
it's just what? Oh, I just had time to kill. I had Captain America tickets. It was the only thing that literally fit into the time slot between me wasting time and going to see it. So,
I hope he has.
that movie felt so like somebody made it in a lab and it just had no soul to it. And it just was like that. It just kind of felt so like. It's like we need to make a Valentine's Day funny movie action comedy and just do a bunch of shit at the wall. And I'm like, no one wants. So it was like, yo, it's weird how much of an age difference they have, right? There's nothing saying we can't have an older woman in this movie.
Well, also,
we don't have to do this.
I mean, maybe it was supposed to be like kind of the joke though. It's like take these two people.
Nope. That was not the joke. If that was the joke, it was not apparent.
I just like I like Hugh Kwan. We both were very excited for his the Renaissance, if you can even call it that.
I think he'll be. I think everyone in this movie will just.
But I was gonna say like I never thought of him as like a romantic action lead, and that seemed like kind of the joke of the movie. And then I guess putting a hat on a hat, you'd be like, not only is he not an expected romantic lead, he also is across from somebody who I don't know. I like I said, I don't really like Ariana DeBose.
Okay,
so
the movie felt like someone had this script left over for Jackie Chan in the '90s, and they were like, "This was going to be a bad
Jackie
movie,"
Chan
and then they held on to it.
Absolute stinkers. So I guess that
Yeah, I know. So it felt. I was reminded of that. Like it felt like they dug up like screenwriters from that like era and was like, "Hey, let's make a movie again," but like try to make it like.
It's just
But Captain America was
it's
fun.
weird when stuff like that
like
hits theaters now, though. Like the fact that that's not just like on Netflix is weirder to me. They make tons of trash movies that are like disposable. When they get theatrical releases, I'm more confused.
And I don't want to spoil anything about Captain America because I thought it was like actually a fun time, but I think you're gonna have the same exact note you had with Ragnarok, Che.
Ragnarok, not Love and Thunder.
The marketing fucked this movie.
Well, to be fair, I am like fully off the.
Yeah, but
I do.
Still,
I'm assuming what you're
you
talking
have
about
to
is the Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, to be fair, I think that one was going to be.
It would have been a wild one if it was just like if it was just going to that blind. I was like, I wish I somehow lived in a vacuum.
We just can't do that. Yeah, we can't do it anymore. It's long since past the days where you could have in a movie like Psycho where nobody knew walking into theaters that the main actress was going to die. It's like that we're so far beyond that. It is kind of sad.
I mean, it's even like I also like horror movies too, and like the Until Dawn movie had the trailer come out, and I was like, you just showed me how much. I mean, I guess in the movie they all die continuously, but I was just like, you just showed me a lot of good kills from like the get go. Like I don't need to kind of see that.
Well, we're very anti-trailer
already,
but this is not what we're talking about. We're going to be doing a new format for the podcast. Hopefully, this.
Oh yeah! Don't wait for the after credit scene. It's completely pointless. Don't wait for it. Just Google it. You're missing nothing. They make you wait through the entire credits. It's the worst one I think they've ever done.
Yeah.
It feels like they forgot to film it. Then they were like, oh shit, we need to put one of these in.
I'm still tentatively hopeful for the future of Marvel because I think Fantastic Four.
I think they'll be fine. I think
good.
This movie was just a middle ground Marvel movie, and I think that's what like people have just kind of like. It's like it's not bad. It's not Ant-Man whatsoever, but it's not like the high of highs. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like the Iron Man 3s. I liked it more than Iron Man 3.
There are some people who love Iron Man 3, but yes.
Yeah, it's weird. Not that good of a movie.
No, it's fine. All right. It's time for a new format.
Let's do it.
Maybe recurring. And this one's gonna be a bit of a tester. Bear with us. We're figuring it out. Corey's never actually done one of these before.
No.
But I think this is a kind of a fun experiment in preparation for the Oscars, which is coming up. We previewed it on the first half. We're gonna be doing a Build an Oscars auction draft, where Corey and I are going to take $1,000 budget. For those of you who aren't familiar with an auction draft. Is relatively simple. We will put up a writer, director, actor, production company, or any other. We have 2 wildcard categories that can be really anybody from the film industry, I suppose. And we will use that budget to build a movie that we think is capable of winning the big 5 Oscars. The goal is to make. I mean, the what's the word? Let me put my thoughts together. The goal is to make a good movie that could win an Oscar in 2025. And those two things are not necessarily like hand in hand. I don't think either of us have thought that the best movie of the year has won Best Picture, etc. many of the recent Oscars.
I mean, I think like only one of them in recent years where I'm like, fuck yeah, this one.
Yeah. So I think, but there is like a formula to this thing that we try to tap into, and I still think that these movies end up being good. Like I don't think bad movies tend to win best picture or anything. It's very rare that a genuinely bad movie will walk home with a trophy. We talked about some genuinely bad movies that got nominated. That's not as rare, but we're gonna see how. We're just gonna go with the flow. See what happens. If there are parts of it that works, we'll tweak it for. We were talked about maybe doing a blockbuster movie draft for when the summer comes around, building a movie that could dominate the box office. The key is cast Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney. Apparently,
that's the hack.
That seems to be all you need to do, because everyone went to watch Anyone But You, even though that movie is so bad.
I've seen that movie only through other people's airplane seats.
It's a big airplane movie apparently.
I saw like 3 different people watching it. I'm like, this is not appropriate for an airplane.
as a movie completionist, I watched it out of morbid curiosity, and it is not like we're out of the romantic comedy boom hardcore now. I don't think they make good romantic comedies anymore.
I think the thing is they just want to bring them back, and I think that's and I mean, people want to go see them. People like to go see them. I think it's just like, I think we're kind of living in that hybrid era right now where we don't exactly know what things are supposed to mix with what things anymore. Like, I mean, I just watched the sci-fi thriller horror romance film last night, and I still don't even know if they did any of those things well. Sorry, I should be quiet before you actually watch it.
I'm interested to see. Like, I'm curious about why the rom-com seems so dead in a way that's like different than the way that something like the Western is dead. Like, they just don't even make Westerns anymore.
They do make rom-coms.
They try making rom-coms a lot, and they're just never any good anymore.
Well, I think the problem is, not the problem. I think it's just like kind of they lend into that Netflix, Amazon Prime, where none of them are like really good, but it does the job enough to be like, they're couch movies. So
yeah,
I think that's the thing.
It's a shame.
It's just like not the couch movies that we necessarily participate in.
But even like, I don't know. I would.
There are good ones. I mean, listen, Harry Met Sally. I was like, fucking, that movie's amazing. So.
Yeah, but I'm saying in the last 10 years, have we had a? This is a tangent that is not.
Yeah, on top of my head, I'm sure. I'm sure there have been some good romantic comedies in the last 10 years. I just don't know of any right now.
Maybe if this format really bangs it out, we'll do a rom-com movie auction draft. But let's get started. The order is not super important for who's goes first. We'll go back and forth again. So let me run down the rules really quick, because what's a fun little exercise on a podcast without hard line rules? $1,000 budget each. We have to draft a production company or studio, director, screenwriter, lead actor, lead actress, a supporting actor, and then 2 wildcard slots, which can be anything or anybody other than another director and another screenwriter. We're not doing no co-directors here. There could be some leniency in the categories. If you want to do something like put up 2 guys that work together, for example, the Coens, I think we can both agree,
or the
can count as like a director, or the Daniels. Yeah, I think there's some room for leeway there, but if that comes to fruition, we'll discuss it.
Good thing I got the Russo brothers locked and loaded.
Yo, has it. What a hardcore fall from those guys who like were on top of the world for a bit and just shot themselves in both feet and kneecaps for some reason.
I mean, it's just
nobody made them do this.
I think it's just a weird, like, they just picked a bunch of really weird Netflix movies, except for Extraction,
and then a bunch of really
slaps.
weird fights with people that nobody made them go to war against like Martin Scorsese. Nobody told you guys to do this.
Yeah, just be quiet and just take your lumps.
All right, I'll just go first because like I said, the order doesn't super matter. I'm going to put up 4 nomination first. Oh yeah, the other thing is you got to nominate the person and category at the same time. And it's, for example, there are obviously people who are directors and screenwriters. I think. Well, let me ask you: would you think we should be able to draft the same person in either category? For example, neither of us are going to do this, but if you wanted to do like Woody Allen in director and screenwriter, could you do that?
Oh yeah, you can do that.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we'd have to put them up for auction separately in both categories. But the idea is you put a person up for. You guys will catch on. This is not actually going to be that complicated. I think I'm making it more complicated by explaining it. So first up, I think the strategy here. I'm just gonna because I think it's not a very good podcast if we just do the draft. I'll just talk through what I'm thinking. I think there are categories here that are much thinner than other categories. And there are people in certain categories that give you much higher wins above replacement, to bring in a sports term, than some other people. I'm going to start with supporting actor, and I'm going to put up Hong Cho, start my bidding at $50. I'm on the record. I'm basically the number one Hong Cho fan, and I think she is very versatile. I'll talk through my ideas for a bit, and you decide if you want to jump in on the bid, Corey. Anytime you want to throw in a number, just talk over me. But I just think we've seen a trend recently with Oscar-winning movies that you need to be sort of crowd pleaser, which I think we talked about that in the first half of the podcast. And a lot of these movies have become not so niche or artsy. I mean, you still can't be like Dune. We don't think Dune has a chance of winning a blockbuster, or Wicked doesn't have a chance of winning Best Picture because they're a little too crowd pleaser. But you have to be a movie that is got a little bit of comedy in it, got a little bit of heart, got a little bit of drama, but also feels like a heavy movie. Hong Chow has been in a lot of funny movies, but has also been.
She's been working.
Amazing. Yeah, and amazing in some like really great dramatic roles. Obviously, most recently she was in, Oscar contention. She was in The Whale from a few years ago alongside Brendan Fraser and was excellent in that. I loved her in Kinds of Kindness, a movie that Corey is not as big a fan of as I am. But
I did not like that movie.
But I think she is always good.
That was a bad movie.
Hardcore disagree. I love Kinds of Kindness.
Kinds of Kindness was a shit movie, and I'm sorry. That was bad. I want my time back.
But she also has made some like really funny stuff. She was also in The Instigators this year, which was a pretty, I think for the most part, forgettable Apple product, but was really funny. And she's got comedic timing. Corey, you jumping on this Hong Chow bit, or
I do listen. I do like Hong Chow, but I don't necessarily know if I'm gonna go lean in on her for my supporting actor in this.
No, that's fine. I will take Hong Chow, $50 out of my budget in my supporting actor's role, or supporting actor, either one, obviously. Apologies for the YouTube viewers if the video is choppy. I don't know, something is going on with my computer. Hopefully it's just on Discord's end and not.
I mean, Discord's been acting fucky for me too, so I am right there with you. Oh man, I'm kind of like trying to struggle to see who I actually would really want to be like my supporting actor to kind of hold things up on. I mean, also I don't really know what movie.
Start with any other category.
So yeah, no, I'm just like trying to think what movie I'm actually trying to make in this, in a sense. But gonna steal from you a little bit. Gonna do 25 on Daniel Bruhl.
Daniel Bruhl in supporting actor?
I think he's just recognizable enough across the board. He's been in a lot of things, a lot of like award things up for a lot of things up for awards. He's got the popular vote too. He's very recognizable. He's a really good actor. I just think he kind of needs, I think he would be really well put off to act against somebody in a film like this. It's more of a when than not an if for me in my mind for him.
And he also, like Hong Chow, has been in a lot of lead roles in both comedic and dramatic roles. He's more of a lead actor in Europe and Germany than he is in America, which
Exactly.
is understandable. But he also has been, excellent in some. I mean, is he the best part of Civil War?
I don't know. I don't know about. I mean,
it's like a bit flawed, but I love his performance in it at least.
I mean, I think Civil War's like a lot of.
I think it was great.
Yeah.
But I love his performance.
Oh, his character is great. It's just just a big old shit stir, and then.
Well, this is a question for the format, which again we were figuring this out in live. So I already have a supporting actor. You've nominated a person as supporting actor. Would it make sense to at least make the podcast a little bit interesting for me to be able to bid on this and take it in wild card if I still had wild card slots open? Because obviously I don't have a supporting actor slot open.
I guess so. Yeah. Well, sure.
Cory is not as invested in the rules as I am.
I don't believe in rules. My fantasy thing.
I'm gonna
my
let you
fantasy
take
drafts
the
are
rule
snake
anyway,
drafts.
though.
I don't even know what these fucking funny words mean sometimes.
Well, so I will explain my thinking. That I think the reason for the auction draft for me is that the idea was just to sort of replicate the idea of a realistic film. Like the idea that you could just pick the best director, best screenwriter, best actor, best actress, etc., and make a movie is obviously that's a fun exercise. But nobody's making a movie except for maybe for some reason Wes Anderson, who seems to be able to call whoever he wants.
Apparently,
and they will show up and do whatever he asks.
He's just delightful to work with. Apparently,
yeah. I mean, there are some exceptions, but for the most part, in the film industry, especially now, you have to be able to work within some constraints, and that's what I was trying to replicate with the idea of the auction draft. Maybe it's a failed practice, but we'll see. We'll find out. So, Cory's going to get Daniel Bruhl for $25.
I'm doing 25.
Which will put him at $9.75. Next up, let's make it interesting. Let's get some. I think we're both going to want to bid on this. I'm going to put up for director Jordan Peele. I'm going to start the bidding at $100. I think Jordan Peele, for a lot of reasons, is kind of the perfect guy for this next coming few years in the Oscar race. One, he makes movies that people go to see and they make money. Two, he is a comedy background, obviously, but also a horror background, which is like the very dominant genre of movie right now.
But is it a award-winning movie though?
No, I don't think Jordan Peele can win Best Picture with a horror movie. But as we've also started to see, he's like drifting slightly. He doesn't make straight horror movies.
No.
All of his films are like they have elements of horror, elements of thriller, some other things. I think if he ticked a little bit over into the closer to a drama or a thriller than the horror movie, he has a real chance of winning a Best Picture. I mean, Get Out was. I do really think there was a moment where Get Out seemed like it was gonna pull it off.
I mean, it was really good.
Yeah, and beloved, and I think many people have even said we're gonna look back on that Oscars and regret not giving it to him.
Who did beat it?
Good question. You are you gonna jump in? You
see, man, I'm kind of like nervous about the whole
Jordan Peele.
the whole horror. I mean, I'm just more like wondering about like the Academy's just kind of weird about genre stuff. Because I mean,
but that's changed. I mean, everything
we're saying that, but I mean,
once won a lot of Oscars.
That's very true. But also, Denny just was like not on the list whatsoever this year, which feels kind of insane after. But I think it is it's a different type of genre, like fiction, I think, with Denny, I guess.
I think it helps Peele's case for the Oscars that what he makes is original content.
Not this next movie, though.
He doesn't, not this next movie. Yes, that is true. But but all those movies before this have been original ideas, not IP, which despite the fact that we love Dune and we love IP on this podcast, the Academy is, I don't foresee us ever seeing a adaptation of something other than
Lord of the Rings.
A big book winning ever again.
Yeah. I guess Lord of the Rings.
Something like, I mean, Lord of the Rings, but even Lord of the Rings, I don't think if Lord of the Rings was out now, it would be getting the sort of Academy.
It was also just like,
when it did.
It was just like a cultural phenomenon of just 3 years. Yeah, like, that's an insane, like, just the way, I mean, we'll never get that again. Just.
It's sort of, to be honest, looking back on it, and I like the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. It is weird. It's a weird, even at the time, it was weird how, like, it sort of hoovered up. The Return of the King won, like, 11 Oscars.
It was crazy. Like, but I think, like, in a way, it's like, kind of the conversation ends like sometimes the Oscars are just about celebrating film rather than like what's the best thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, for sure. To your question, Shape of Water and Guillermo del Toro beat out
Yeah,
Get Out.
that's right. It's funny, and I was maybe going to bring up Guillermo because I mean, like, I feel like it's been a while since I've seen him, but I think he wants to go do like animation and just be a weirdo for the rest of his life, and I love him for it. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. I think he like it was like
am I getting? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. It's like was it Pacific Rim and then Shape of Water? Were those just like back to back films? Are those the most two insane back to back films? I guess.
Is there not something in between?
I don't know. Because I mean, at least with like
think you might be
Bong,
right.
like,
That's kind of insane.
kind of like treaded away from Snowpiercer before he got to Parasite, but like I think Guillermo was like,
Well, also before Parasite, Bong Joon-ho was making
he was like,
movies that looked like Oscar-winning movies in Korea. Like obviously he's become, since Parasite has become like much more celebrated generally, but before, I mean, like Memoirs of a Serial Killer and Mother and all those movies look a lot like and have the cadence of an award-winning movie. Before Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro was making fucking Blade sequels and Gundam knockoffs. Like I mean, he also, to be fair, he also made Pan's Labyrinth. But there's like he is a very interesting dichotomy of a
guy's got a good eye. At the end of the day, I don't know. It's like I would want Jordan. I would like look.
There's lots of directors. If I'm happy to take Peele with this pick here.
You know what? I'm decided the direction of my film's gonna be, and I'm gonna do 50 for Wes Anderson.
All right, so I'm getting Jordan Peele for 100.
I think it's been a long enough time that it's like Wes's time is like when he wants to come back around and do one again. I think it's like he's like depending on what he'll go against that year. He's just been doing his like shorts and shit recently and animated movies. Like I feel like he's like kind of due for like a movie again.
I have not, and I like Wes Anderson. I have not been this excited for a Wes Anderson movie in a long time. I think the idea of a spy comedy is like the exact kind of film I have always wanted him to make, and I didn't realize it until it was announced that was the genre of his next film.
The Phoenician Scheme.
Yeah. The idea of him making like a sort of a spoof-ish, not like Johnny English spoof, but like the idea, like Grand Budapest Hotel, but with even more mystery and spy thriller in it. Because Grand Budapest Hotel has elements of a spy thriller as well. It's got it's a war movie, and I think Wes Anderson is perfect for this. But I do think weirdly, despite the fact that we love him on here, and I think we both in agreement that his last two
Asteroid
films,
City.
The French Dispatch and Asteroid City, were excellent, like masterworks, but did not get the critical or
That's what I started thinking about
financial
that
success
now.
that I was expecting for.
Because I was starting to think about Asteroid City as well, where it kind of just like kind of fizzled, even though I really liked it.
I think the thing about Asteroid City is the kind of movie you need to see a couple times, at least two, because I think on the first viewing it's sort of so Wes Anderson-y that it maybe takes people out of it. It was the very flat affects from all these actors. I think especially of Scarlett Johansson's performance in the movie, which I love, but is like feels kind of otherworldly.
I mean,
alien.
I think it might have been intentional when it's playing. Everyone feels like they're playing aliens more than usual.
Yeah.
Wes Anderson.
It's very. I mean, you also think about the culture surrounding that movie. It's coming out of COVID, and it's a movie about a bunch of people literally under quarantine in the desert and like struggling with their life and death. And it's a very layered film that I don't know if one viewing does it justice.
I think after the spy film, I could see Wes kind of floating back to doing like a big version for him, I suppose, type of film. Feels like he's kind of exploring things like within like the whole medium with like, I mean, he did a follow-up like stop motion animated film, which was very good and I think better than the first one he did. And then French Dispatch, which we both liked, and then Asteroid City. So,
I would say they are still celebrated critically, but I do think they're more. The response was more lukewarm to them than I think they deserve, because I do think both those movies are excellent. Yeah. All right. So
I'm gonna stick with
Anderson is
Wes. I'm
yours.
sticking with Wes. I'm sticking with Wes, and I'm also gonna now put the bid in for him to write as well, because I think it'd be weird if he didn't write his own movies or got Owen or somebody else to write them.
Wes Anderson up for screenwriter. I mean, to be fair, I think you could bid. I think you could bid whatever you want for this because I don't foresee Jordan Poole directing a Wes Anderson script making a lot of sense with my film as is.
That would be a wild.
I would love to see it. I would love to see it. I do think it would probably be a
I mean, like,
mess.
it would be wonderful to see, like, Wes just kind of, like, try out different genres. It didn't, like, just kind of, like, see how he does them all in a way.
Well, I do think that the writer director oftentimes, I think it's more interesting when you see it with Spike a lot, and I think when Spike doesn't write and just directs, I actually think a lot of his movies end up being a little bit more interesting. The prime example for me has always been, and I love his movies, Yorgos Lanthimos, who he is like a great director, but when somebody else has their hands on the script, I actually think it puts him in a bit of a box that he has to that maybe helps him more. I still think his best film is The Favorite, which he did not write. I'm 99% sure of that.
I don't know about that. Off the top of my head, I can't tell you.
But I agree that it would be. I would love to see it. I would love to see Wes Anderson take somebody else's script and make it, but I don't think we ever will. I mean, I think you said co-writers before. Yes, I wasn't crazy. The Favorite is Deborah Davis and Tony McNamara, and I think there is a reason that film feels as not constrained isn't the right word, but like as
Just kind of different in a way.
As down to earth in a lot of ways, because opposed to Lanthimos, who I do think at times can get a bit far up his own ass. And I like that. I do like that. We're gonna see this year. He's directing a movie, Begonia, that he did not write. It's the screenplay by Will Tracy. So this is his return to. Yeah,
He's on thin ice for me.
How can he be on thin ice from you when it's one movie?
Thin ice, because I experienced that movie it felt longer.
To be honest, I love Kinds of Kindness. I think obviously it's if you're talking about the run he was on, which is The Lobster, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, The Favorite, Poor Things, Kinds of Kindness, and now this year Begonia. It's the worst of those movies.
Yeah.
But I love it. I think everything that Emma Stone is doing in that movie is fucking
I'm not
incredible.
disagreeing with you on certain things, Che. It's just, what the fuck is he doing the other parts about it?
I think you just didn't like the cannibalism stuff.
No, I didn't. I think the cannibalism was actually kind of fine to me. It was just the
Wait, so
other
which part of the movie didn't you like? I don't understand.
I think the plot.
Which plot?
Yes.
I stand by it.
The cult one was probably the best one, in my opinion.
Yes.
But
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I think you would.
I didn't hate it. I was just disappointed in it.
Early Lanthimos. I would say do not watch Alps, which I saw for the first time in theaters earlier this year. That movie is very Kinds of Kindness coded, actually.
I wanted to leave the theater at certain moments, just out of pure.
All right, Corey's getting Wes Anderson for screenwriter, also for $50.
Now I'm just building a Wes Anderson movie in my head now.
I'm seeing now that the auction strategy maybe doesn't work in with two people, but we're gonna adjust this. I like the idea of these, and we just need to figure out a structure that makes them more engaging. Maybe we could do like a salary cap thing, like we can discuss how much it would actually cost you to pull in, because I do think, for example, we both have our directors now, but I do think one of the people I was really considering, I think the next two hot directors, especially considering how this Oscar award season is going to go, the people that are going to be getting big sacks of money mailed to their doorstep is Edward Berger and Brady Corbett, because these guys have made two Berger has made 2 movies back to back that have been like very different films, Conclave and All Quiet on the Western Front, and 2 incredibly successful critical films. And Conclave has been doing like big numbers. It did big numbers in the box office.
I mean,
and now
he
it's
made
like,
a movie that shouldn't be as entertaining as it is entertaining as hell.
yeah,
It's kind of
yeah.
just impressive.
And coming off making a really hardcore anti-war film that also won Best International Feature, was that 2 years ago now? So I think there is I think he is a big name coming in. And then Brady Corbett made this movie, The Brutalist, which it probably is not going to do as well as I think people thought it was going to do a couple weeks ago, because it looks like Anora is surging ahead. But there's still a chance that we're talking about this in a month's time, and Brady Corbett has won either Best Picture or Best Director or some other huge award on the night, including probably Adrian Brody is still going to take that award home. And he made that movie for $10 million. And it's a movie that looks like it should have cost 10 times that amount. So it's like, I think there is an idea that there is people who are like, it is going to cost you more money if you're a studio to make a Wes Anderson movie than it would to make a Brady Corbett movie. For now, I mean, maybe he's going to show me in his next movie is going to be like the next Star Wars movie. And
I mean, you would be surprised. I mean, a lot of what Wes Anderson money actually goes to is just the cast.
Yes. But I do think, honestly, I think that's a big part of his. He seems to maybe not need to, but that's his style of operating now. Is he's like, I need a big ensemble cast, and these are the kind of movies I want to make. I mean, The French Dispatch was like 5 ensemble casts basically.
It was crazy. That was an insane. I mean, I think the trailers for that movie were just naming the cast.
It was just lists of all the people in it, which is I love it.
I like the flex of that, honestly. But I'm looking at the most recent budgets. I mean, like French Dispatch and Asteroid City were both made for under $25 million. Mm-hmm. With those insane casts. So I'm like, I'm not really breaking the budget. And it usually makes its money. It doubles its money. So I think it turns a profit technically. I don't remember the exact amount where it turns a profit. So it's like not. I think it does well enough that a studio would take a flyer if he's like, I got this thing. So can I swing you back into my actor? I think because now like that might help me bring this home.
Yeah. All right. Who are you putting up?
Recent years has proven that he is a very skilled storyteller. And so I think it's time for him to kind of get that, like, while his, like, stock's this high, in that category to, like, get his Oscar. Ben Stiller.
As lead actor?
As lead actor.
Interesting. What is
I know,
Ben
that's a
Stiller's
flyer.
last lead role?
Couldn't tell you.
I'm going to look.
That's why I'm taking a flyer, man. It's like the nostalgia factor of Brendan Fraser. I think it's, like, kind of that whole, like looking at him now as more of an artist to now.
I gotta say, post Severance, I much prefer him behind the camera. I think I've never been a big Ben Stiller guy to be.
This is my thing. I believe in this. I have a feeling in my chest, and if I got my wild card, I think we'll bring it home.
Oh, I forgot about this. He made a movie last year, the Nutcrackers, which was
I don't think anybody saw that though.
I believe straight to streaming Christmas.
Get your money.
Yeah, it's been a bit. I mean, we're talking like so that just to run down his credited roles here. I'm gonna skip over the SZA music video he was in apparently, which don't think I realized. Nutcracker, Bleaker, which I don't know what the fuck this is. A movie that came out in 2022. Oh, it's like a children's movie? What the fuck is this?
I think I'm mostly basing this off of Royal Tenenbaums.
He is no. Listen, Ben Stiller has had some great. I'm looking.
Which is why I'm like kind of like basing it with that. I think it also would be good. I think it would be a good collaboration to happen again. I think.
I would say his last swing at like a critically acclaimed performance is in 2017, The Meyerowitz Stories, which I do think there are people who will ride for that movie. I'm not.
Can I change out my supporting actor?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So your Ben Stiller is going to be your lead. I'm just going to say right now.
Ben Stiller's going to be my lead.
We're as with all things on the Next Time On podcast, we're playing it by ear. We're just going to drop the auction draft thing because I don't think it's really
okay.
Who's your supporting actor?
I'm taking on Daniel Bruhl. I thought that was a different movie I think I was making, but even though I think it still would work, don't get me wrong. But I want Jeffrey Wright back with Wes. They're very good together, and I think I think his stock's also pretty good.
Jeffrey Wright's great
right now. Yeah, he's great in everything. I think his stock's good. Probably would get a supporting actor nomination. I think that stock is very good.
Does Jeffrey Wright have? He's got one for American Fiction. Did he have it? Does he have another one before that, or was that his first? I actually don't really know.
I think that might have been his first nom.
I think so. I mean, he's great. I mean, he's amazing. I've never seen Jeffrey Wright in anything that he wasn't good at. Even when they turned him into like a motionless robot that sat in a house covered in dust for, I think, it was like hundreds of years or something, on Westworld.
That show really was on one, man.
The thing is so funny is I really genuinely hated it by the end. I never really liked it. I was not a big fan of Westworld at any point, but by the end I really hated it, and I was still really sad when they got like flushed down the toilet. I mean, they canceled it and then deleted it off of the website.
That was pretty nuts.
When they had like one season left, just let them do it, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's like, honestly, it's like at this point, I'm like, you got us all the way to here.
Yeah.
At least let me see how it ends.
Then again, there was like a 0% chance that last season was going to be any good. So maybe it's.
I mean, the third season was so bad. Like, I just was like struggling to hold on because of Aaron Paul, and it was just like not happening.
And they just ended it. They just did Fight Club. They were like the end of this season is going to be Fight Club.
But also they were like, we all knew it was Fight Club after the first episode.
I know. Another fucking Ariana DeBose miss for me, but I'll let her live.
She's having a rough time right now.
Is she? I think she's doing all right. I think she's doing fine.
I don't know. I mean, I got to imagine. I don't know. I'm sure they all knew what movie they were making.
Yeah. I think. Listen, I think he seems like a fun dude to be around. But if Marshawn Lynch is on your set, you're not out there making cinema.
Yeah. But he was great.
He's great at everything. Did you see?
Oh
my God, what was the lesbian Fight Club movie?
Seen Bottoms yet.
There you go, Bottoms.
Oh, I haven't seen Bottoms.
He's the teachers in Bottoms, and he's fucking great. I mean, he's clearly never on set with any of the other people in the movie. They shoot like the back of people's heads while he's talking, and like, it's great. But he's
in this movie. He's in Love Hurts a lot.
He's in the trailer. He's in most of the trailer. I thought he was like the second lead, to be honest with you.
He basically is. Unclear if he dies or not in the end.
I'm gonna jump in. Then we'll go back to your movie. I'm gonna grab.
Yes, no, I kind of taken over most of it. You go right ahead.
I'm gonna grab my screenwriter, and I think the idea here is I'm betting on potential, because she's coming off quite literally her first and only feature film screenwriting credit, and that is Celine's song off of the back of Past Lives. Now, she wrote and directed that film, but I'm just having her as a screenwriter here. I think Past Lives, we talked about this at the time during last year's award season, is kind of like a perfect movie, a perfect script, I should say, not a perfect movie. It's a perfect script. And I think the idea of turning that movie into something that is not oppressively depressing or cloyingly nostalgic is very difficult on a script level. And I think I'm really excited for her next film, which is Materialist. I don't know if it's got a date yet, but it's got a great cast attached to it. You got Pedro Pascal, Chris Evans, and Dakota Johnson, three people I think are like amazing and everything. And I'm constantly rooting for Chris Evans to ever be able to be in a movie that isn't Captain America. And
it's never his fault.
It's never his fault. It's
bad.
literally never his fault. And yet
he's great at Knives Out. He's great at Knives Out.
I mean, to be fair, I guess it's a little bit his fault because he did sign on to make Red One, but
yeah, but I mean, I'm sure there was like I'm sure they just backed a garbage truck full of money.
For sure.
The movie cost $250 million.
And like another, like he was in that movie Ghosted with Ana de Armas, which is like should have just been. There's like no way that movie couldn't have been fun, and yet somehow they made a completely unfun movie. But I think Celine's song is.
I liked Push. Anybody see Push?
The fuck is Push? What are you talking about?
Oh man, never mind. That's like from
you
like
hallucinating movies
the mid
now.
2000s. Nah, that was like before Captain America.
Oh, 2000. Yes, okay. I did see this movie. I completely forgot it existed. I don't.
It's like my only other Chris Evans movie I could think
You know
of
what?
besides
My
superhero-related stuff.
I think in my brain, Push and Jumper have been fused
They're so
into
close.
the same movie,
They're
and
so
I
close.
forgot
Push
it
is better than
existed.
Jumper though.
That's so funny.
But it's like that whole like they're superheroes, but we don't want to say they're
Right,
superheroes kind of
yeah,
movie,
yeah.
and it was like shut the fuck up. Just put the fucking costume on.
Yeah, I think the thing with Celine Song is it's very much like a Brady Corbett, Edward Berger thing that we were talking about. I think they are like these people are the next generation right now. And actually, to be fair, I feel like Jordan Peele is in the same category. I mean, he's like a bit early,
Yeah.
but I mean, Get Out is not that long ago. We're talking 2017 is his first feature length film.
He just fucking knocked it out the park.
Yeah, so I think
And then like I mean, none of the movies have been bad.
No.
I mean. Like yeah, and like Us, I think some people were kind of mid on Us.
I think Us.
but
I
was
still think it's the weakest for me, but it's good. It's got a lot of interesting ideas too.
I like Us though, but I think it's like to me, Us is like less.
I think the ending
like,
of Us is what really irks me. I'm just like it's not. It's. I think he tried so hard to like land this huge plane, and he just didn't succeed. Which I think it's kind of the
my thing about
opposite
Us
of
was,
Nope,
like-
which is this incredibly concentrated idea that the more I think about it becomes like ever more expanding. And I actually think Nope is quickly becoming my favorite of his films.
I think I like Nope a lot. I think I was talking to somebody about Nope being my favorite, but I did watch them in a very strange order. I guess I was gonna ask like rely on you for this. Like, I'm just gonna say my second wild card would just be supporting actress, or I guess my first wild card. I don't know. I'm gonna need some help on this one though. I feel like I want I don't want a same actress he's worked with before, but also like who very much would work within his Wes Anderson-y talk.
I mean, she's on the brain right now because of the Substance, and we talked about her earlier in the podcast, and you disagree with me that she's the best part of the movie, but I think Margot Qualley is actually an excellent dry comedic actress, and also has the ability to be incredibly weird. Did you ever see that movie from a few years ago where she was
The Substance
from a few years ago where she was like a dominatrix trying to convince her client not to leave her? I'm blank.
I have not seen that movie. No,
First of all, it was not like it wasn't on Pornhub. This was a regular ass movie.
Okay. All right.
It's Sanctuary. That's what it was called. Sanctuary was really good, and in that movie, she's very weird and very. It's like a very wide range of performances. She's doing a lot of interesting stuff in there. Same with her performance in The Substance. Like I said, I think she's incredible in that, and a movie that is quite flawed, and I think in a lot of ways does not work. But she's great in Drive Away Dolls.
I do need to watch Drive Away Dolls. That's been like definitely been on my like short list of movies to watch that I always keep forgetting to.
I actually think she would be great in a Wes Anderson movie. There's a chance she's been in a.
That's possible. It's like a small part at
but
some point.
But actually, I can't think.
But I think like I mean, where she is now, I think that actually would fit really well though. I think like she's in that point of her career where I think that would be perfect for her.
All right, so you're gonna take Jeffrey Wright and Margot Qualley with Ben Stiller. Why don't you just finish out your cast? Who's your lead actor? Lead actress, sorry.
Lead actress. That's a good question. Damn, I had someone on the top of my head too, but I was trying to think of somebody who's like does comedy but also does drama really fucking well. Like who's a comedic actress who hasn't done the turn yet, or hasn't really taken that swing yet?
I'm fully blanking.
Come back to me.
Okay, I'll close out my cast then. So for lead actor, I think. Listen, he's something I actually think is wrong with him, but that's a good thing because I think you need something wrong in your brain to be a good actor, and I'm taking Barry Keoghan for my lead actor. I still to this day listen. Colin Farrell's fucking incredible in the movie, but I think about Barry Keoghan in Banshees of Inisherin like once a day. I think that performance is so heartbreaking and so goofy at the same time, and he's the only person I think on planet Earth that I would not be annoyed to see play the Joker. And that I just didn't think post Heath Ledger I would ever say that, and I'm including Joaquin Phoenix in that list. I think Barry Keoghan is the only person who I think is like strange and quiet and Yeah,
weird.
and every performance he does has like 4 different things going on in it, and
It's just like I think like a good Joker should be like I don't want to be hanging out with this person past 2 a.m. just for my own personal safety kind of vibe.
And I do think the same energy it takes to make Saltburn is probably the same energy you need to be the Joker. I just hope that it's actually good this time. And speaking of Yorgos Lanthimos, I mean, one of the first times that Barry Keoghan actually like caught my eye was in The Killing of the Sacred Deer, which is like an absolutely brutal fucking movie. Also with Colin Farrell. I didn't realize they worked together so much, honestly. For lead actress, I just have to do it. She's my number one for till the day I die. Is Jessie Buckley. Jessie Buckley is amazing in everything. She's hilarious and also made Men. So what can you say other than she's like unrivaled as far as I'm concerned right now. Well, I shouldn't say unrivaled because it's basically, I think for me, the 3 best actors on planet Earth right now of any gender. I was gonna say any genre, but of any gender is Jessie Buckley, Olivia Colman, and Emma Stone. I actually think those are the 3. And shout out to Denzel, who's like on a tour talking about how he's the greatest of all time, and he is. But I saw Gladiator too. Like, he's amazing, but he's amazing.
Yeah.
He is.
He's amazing in it. Yes.
He's amazing. We'll just leave it there. How about that?
He's amazing in it. Yeah, I think we should leave it there.
But that's my cast. I think for my Jordan Peele movie, I would do Celine Song on the script, and then the cast would be Barry Keoghan and Jessie Buckley in a 2-hander with Hong Chow coming in from the top rope. I just think that is like a recipe for success, and there's not a lot that can go wrong there. You want me just to close out my movie? I'll just finish up.
You can, because my doc isn't loading anymore, so I think it's off the top of my brain. If you want to just give me what the top of, like, can you actually try to refresh it? My Google's just not working right now.
I'll just close out. So I will do for my wild cards. I think for me the 2 people that are most important outside of a director for a film success is the editor and the cinematographer. And I'm just a big time believer in editors who can take fast paced material and make it feel slow, or slow down, or like slow material and make it feel punchy. And Joe Walker is, I think, just like the king of that right now. He is Denis Villeneuve's guy, which, he doesn't exclusively
He
doesn't exclusively work with him, but
fantastic guy.
He was on both Dunes. He was on Arrival and Blade Runner and Sicario. He also, in between those films, he did The Creator, which, as Cory and I have talked about the movie a number of times, the problem with that film is not how it looks or how it's paced or any of that stuff. It's that there's just like
Looks
a kid in it.
damn good.
Nobody asked for that. He also did Widows, the Steve McQueen movie, and the Oscar winner 12 Years a Slave. Like, this guy is the real fucking deal. So I would take Joe Walker.
That's a hell of a resume.
I think he's one of the best right now. I'd take Joe Walker as my editor. And behind the camera, obviously you can go with the legends. I mean, there's Darius Kanji and Roger Deakins, who I think are like who might be the greatest cinematographers ever, are still working. But I just realistically, I mean, those guys are like, they make fucking Martin Scorsese and Steven Spielberg movies, and they don't really talk to anybody else unless it's like the God King himself, Christopher Nolan, or something like that. I'm a big Linus Sandgren guy, which is no surprise because he shot La La Land. But speaking of Barry Keogh's drinking bathwater, he shot Saltburn. And the thing about Saltburn is it's a dog shit movie. The script is horrendous. The characters are awful. It is actually paced insane. It's one of the worst things I've seen in the last 5 years. But it looks fucking incredible. And I think, obviously Emerald Farrell is a big part of that. I'm not taking that away from her. I think she's a good director, but somebody should write all her shit from now on. But Sandgren is I think a master with the camera. He also did Babylon the year before that, which is like a movie that is incredibly propulsive, and that opening sequence, for people who haven't seen that movie, you should watch it. It's incredible. But that opening sequence of the film is like a fever dream, and the way he is like whipping the camera around. This guy also, let me just run down his resume really quickly. From fucking 2005 when he started, he did Storm and Shelter, which are two Swedish films. I have not seen them, I'll be honest. But then he burst onto the American scene. He does Promised Land, the Gus Van Sant movie, follows it up with American Hustle, The 100-Foot Journey, which a movie I absolutely love, Joy, La La Land, Battle of the Sexes, First Man, The Nutcracker in the Four Realms, ignore that one, No Time to Die, Don't Look Up, Babylon, and Saltburn. Now the next thing he's going to be doing is Emerald Fennell's next movie, the Wuthering Heights adaptation, which I am, despite my aversion to the existence of Saltburn, I'm really excited for. But also Kelly, the Noah Baumbach film, which is seems like nothing like Noah Baumbach's ever done before. I'm very excited for that movie. So yeah, this is my guy, Linus Sandgren. I'm a big Sandgren fan. If he ever wants to come on the podcast, he's the only one that's welcome. It's actually just Linus Sandgren. He's the only guest that's welcome on the podcast. And our last category, which I'll just fill out now, is the production company. The easy answer is A24. Everybody's got A24 merch. I got A24 merch.
I don't.
You're the last one.
Yeah, I know.
But
Listen,
I do
turn me down for a job. I'm not gonna wear your shit. All right.
Fair enough.
6 weeks of my life, I'm never getting back.
I do think there are two other companies on the scene that are doing really interesting shit right now. Fifth Season, which has dominated the TV market right now because it is the production company behind Severance. Also did Tokyo Vice and what's Wolf Like Me on Peacock, which is a very strange show that I enjoyed parts of, but it also has some success in the film industry. It did Eileen last year, which was weird and fun, and has the A24 film, I guess, co-production with A24, the movie of distributed by A24 but produced by Fifth Season, Friendship, which I am actually really excited for. Did you watch the trailer for this, Cory?
Oh yes,
Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd movie, which is going to be insane.
I think the trailer just makes it so straightforward. I'm like, this is not what this movie is. It just there's hints of the unhingedness.
No, it's Tim Robinson. That's the Tim Robinson is an unhinged man.
But it was just it was played too straight. I'm like, there has to be a ball getting dropped here at some point.
I think the other one, which is the one I'm going to go with though, is obviously Brad Pitt's production company, Plan B, who is he's already won an Oscar with Plan B for 12 Years a Slave, and just makes great movies with great directors, and seems to be able to, probably because a lot of people just want to be around Brad Pitt, which I understand, seems to be able to attract great talent and find and cultivate successful filmmakers, which is what you need. You need a production company that can get out of the way when it needs to, and when it doesn't need to, can really wield its power. I mean, this year alone, they did Beetlejuice, which was a huge success, and Nickel Boys, which I said already, it was I think an artistic masterpiece, and Wolves, which I had a ton of fun with. They also did, to be fair, so I don't pretend like I'm skating over it, they also released this year the Bob Marley biopic, which was a fucking horrendous tragedy. But what are you gonna do? Sometimes people make Bob Marley biopics that nobody asked for, starring the guy from Secret Invasion.
They did that. Yep.
But yeah, I think Plan B for my production company.
I think I'm pretty boring. I mean, I think I'm just gonna stick with Searchlight. It seems like
Fox,
it's
yes,
a common company.
they're...
Yeah, but they got the money, and I think it's one of those companies that will just stay out of his way. And I think he also has the clout for people just to have no real interference.
And they also just have the thing with Wes Anderson movies is you just sort of need to let Wes Anderson make the movie, and then you distribute it. And they have the distribution arm obviously sewed up, so.
So this isn't I'm going to pitch you a movie thing. This is strictly a draft. So I have the movie I'm making in my brain.
Oh, you still have
lead
actors in one wildcard
yes.
open.
So my movie is going to be written and directed by Wes Anderson. Main leading actor Ben Stiller, leading actress Catherine Hahn, supporting actor Jeffrey Wright. Sticking with Wes and just letting him pick his own people. First wild card Margot Qualley, and second wild card Zendaya.
Zendaya in a Wes Anderson movie is interesting. I think she is
I think the dryness in delivery really does could work very well in
Yes,
this.
I agree. I think what's weird to me is actually, I mean, I think she'd be great, but her performances never feel like a Wes Anderson kind of actress. I'm sure she's capable of it. What it is actually in real life. I think she feels more like a Wes Anderson character, like in interviews and her persona that she does on screen, which is that bodes well for. I think I would like somebody to do. I know people disagree with me, but I just am not. I was not a fan of Challengers.
I think people do disagree with you on that
fine.
one.
I would just like.
Weirdly, I disagree with you on that.
You like
now.
Challengers?
They won me. Yeah, I think I
What
did.
about it did you like, Cory?
Don't make me do this right now, Che. Don't make me defend a movie without any kind of prep time and on the tail end of an episode.
Fair enough.
That's not fair. That's not fair.
I think that there is that she has a long, interesting career ahead of her, and I hope that she makes interesting choices with the director she gets to work with. I think
she's gonna be in a Nolan movie. They're gonna be in Greece.
I'm very
recreating the Odyssey.
interested in Nolan's Odyssey film, which I think people are they're really high on the Nolan supply right now, which I respect. We liked Oppenheimer on the podcast. It obviously dominated the Oscars. Christopher Nolan making an Odyssey adaptation is not a thing I'll just say, not a thing I thought I wanted. How about that? I'm receptive to the idea. I'm very interested to see what it looks like, but I did not think we would be getting this.
I think every time I hear about the casting for that, I'm like, yeah, sure, man.
It's got to a point where it's every person is going to be in it. So if every person is in it, what are they going to all have one line? I don't.
Oh wait, I got my text. I'm actually going to be extra number 3.
Listen, we're all in Nolan's Odyssey. that's the secret. Is actually every single person on Earth.
We're going to be watching the movie, be like, wait, the fuck?
Everyone's going to be recreating the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood meme. Let's run it down. I'll go over my movie right now. Like I said,
okay. Sounds
brought
good.
to you by Plan B, the studio that did 12 Years a Slave, a rip roaring, festive fun time film. Directed by Jordan Peele, script by Celine Song, lead actor Barry Keoghan, lead actress Jessie Buckley, supporting actor Hong Chow, edited by Joe Walker, and shot by Linus Sandgren. I actually really do think that there is Barry Keoghan is probably the biggest risk there of maybe not doing the big five, because I actually think weirdly the Oscars have not seemed to enjoy him personally, despite the fact that I think he's been great in almost everything he's made. But we'll see. I mean, he's young, obviously, and he's kind of just burst onto the American scene at least. So I'm actually interested to see what he does next, because I don't know what's on his next film coming out. But Cory, what's your next movie?
My next movie is going to be written and directed by Wes Anderson, and I'm sticking with Searchlight as a production company. This is a bit of a swing as a movie, I think. Gonna go Ben Stiller as my main actor.
I think I no-sold you on that because I was surprised. I am interested. I would love to see Ben Stiller take on a serious role from a good director, because it's been a very long time since he even tried that, and I think when it works, he's great. So,
and I think he's one of those people who definitely is kind of just waiting for them to do their thing. I feel like everyone gets that one shot, and I feel like he hasn't really followed through with that as hard as he can. I think Catherine Hahn is very funny. I think she also could be really great in this, and I mean, she can just say in anything, and I think it's funny.
Everyone loves right now, especially. So she's got 100% approval.
And Jeffrey Wright just also does. Mm-hmm. I think Jeffrey Wright probably does the best Wes Anderson voice that I've ever any other characters. Him and Jeff Goldblum are the only ones I think you can never you're just perfect for this.
Yeah. He's also the only black person that Wes Anderson knows.
That's true, but now Zendaya is also going to be in it, so that's 2.
That's true. So it's 2 black people.
And Danny Glover.
One only in our fantasy world, though.
Danny Glover.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, fair.
And I don't know if he was anything else besides Royal Tenenbaum, so I can't remember.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Zendaya and Margot Qualley. a very specific movie in my brain. I'll let the audience try to figure out what I was going for, but
It's The Substance too.
yes, absolutely. How'd you figure that out?
I think there is a, obviously we need to rework the format a bit, but it was fun. I like talking
Yeah,
about
this
movies.
is fun. I'm excited to do a blockbuster one.
Yeah, well, we're gonna be back with like I said, the goal is, the hope is weekly episodes. The reality is not going to be weekly episodes if we're being honest with you, but we're gonna try to be consistent. We're gonna come back and talk about more movies, more other shit. The book club and the bad movie club will be announced when we have a more concrete idea of what our schedule looks like. I know we sidelined From Hell, the Alan Moore book, but I do still want to tackle that book because I think there's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about there. And don't forget, follow us everywhere at Next Time on Pod, especially over there on YouTube. And if you're already over there on YouTube, drop a like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Anything else for the people, Corey?
Nothing else from me.
Well, I've been Che.
I've been Cory.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.